All right, hey everybody, this is Rob and Jordan, and we are back for Archangel Inc. Live number 36. Jordan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Rob. It's a little bit warmer here in Portugal recently, so I'm sitting here. It's pretty warm. No
Yeah.
air conditioner, but that's okay. Doing good.
Okay, hanging in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
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 good.
definitely
No
turning
complaints.
into summer here in Florida. The humidity is
Yep.
way up, and
Yep.
it's nice though. It's a nice contrast. You get outside, and then you can really appreciate the comfort of indoors. So
Yep.
all good
Absolutely.
there. So tonight we are going to be continuing and finishing up our AMS Amazon Ads keyword series here. We had a post last week or a video last week, and we went over the reasons that Amazon Ads could be pretty helpful and gave a kind of intro and where to start, an overview of all of that for anybody who's just starting out and maybe isn't familiar with it yet. And one of the things that we touched on last week that we didn't get into but wanted to bookmark for this week was keywords. And I know some people might be a little bit uncertain about how to do that, and also thinking, oh my gosh, there's literally thousands of keywords that I have to find. How do I even start with that? What does that look like? How does that happen? And so this week we are going to dive into that. Is there anything you want to say as we get started here?
No, so really, yeah, we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. We don't want to just jump in and say, yeah, you need to find thousands of keywords. That is part of doing well with Amazon Ads, is to have a bunch of keywords. But it can start from finding your original seed keywords that are based on the content of your book. So if you have a list of keywords that you're going to enter into Amazon for your book, you can use those keywords here in a couple different ways to find even more. So basically finding more long-tailed, more iterations of those keywords to then be able to plug in.
Got it. Cool. So we've got why finding keywords is important. Jordan, why is finding keywords important? What does it matter? Why can't you just put any old words in there and just hope that it's going to turn out because it's an ad?
Very important. It's very important to put it in your book, in your book's metadata. When you're actually entering your book into Amazon, that's a very important piece, because you're telling Amazon what your book is about and where people should find it. So that's really why keywords are so important. Is keywords are what people are searching for. So your book is providing a solution, and the keywords that you're finding are kind of demonstrating that. It's showing it that is what it is. That is what people are finding. I know that some people are like, I just don't want to get into keywords. That just seems too like I'm spending too much time like worrying about these small things. Where if you really think about it, keywords are really just about what your customer is searching for, and it's your way of providing those answers. So that's why I like it, because it gives me an insight into what people really want. It's a really cool research tool, because you can have people tell you all day long that your book or something is interesting, but what they're actually searching for, that data doesn't lie, and that's where keywords are really cool, but also really important for putting it in your book's description and all that, and for ads.
Right. Yeah, I think that was one of the things that helped me to reimagine keywords. Just, hey, if I'm going and looking for something, how am I doing that? What phrases am I using? What are the search terms that I'm using? How am I trying to gather that information? And so if you're creating keywords for an ad campaign or for your publication in general, you're just thinking about, okay, somebody who's interested in the kind of thing that I offer, what would they likely be searching for? What would I search for if I was looking for that? And then try and put yourself into that perspective, and gives you a little different approach to how to make sense of it.
Yep.
Cool. All right, and I have a note here: repurposing your KDP keywords, expanding for AMS. So what's going on with that?
So really, that's what we're gonna jump into that with the screen share
cool
here tonight, and we're gonna show you guys how to find your original keywords. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but we just want to share it again because it's a great reminder, and because it really is. If you haven't done this and are trying to find a bunch of keywords for your Amazon ads, this is really a great place to start with, using the keywords that you're going to put into your book. Cool. So that's what we would recommend. If try to think smart, you don't have to start from scratch here. Now you certainly could. You could go into Publisher Rocket, or we're going to show you the Google Keyword Planner as another way to find a bunch of keywords. You could go into those just kind of from scratch using your book's title and description and using what you know about your book. That can happen. You can certainly do that to add to it, but having a place to start from that you've already done the work for, it's much better.
Right, exactly. If you already have put that time, I mean, if you just came up with your keywords by happenstance, if you didn't put a whole lot of intention behind it, then you might as well just kind of start from scratch. But if you have done that market research, put a little time and effort into figuring out what sort of niche and search indices that you want to show up for in general with your publication, that's a great place to start. And you can kind of just amplify the effort that Amazon is already doing for you through their KDP, keyword options.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So I think we can just jump right in if you're up for it for the
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Publisher Rocket, screen share for AMS ads, and pulling it up here.
Awesome. First thing I want to show you is our spreadsheet that we use. I just have this as our template. This is just the downloadable Google Sheets file. But this is what I have here because you'll see this directly matches what we have in Publisher Rocket, so that when I export, I can just copy and paste from that sheet and kind of put it in here, and also just make additional tabs in here too. So it kind of keeps it all streamlined. Cool. So you can go ahead and type these in yourself, or possibly we actually could even link to a copy of this, Rob. I'll write that down so we can do that in this video. That would be good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put that up as a resource, and we'll link to it. We'll post it on the Archangel Link website, and you can access it and download it and repurpose it for your own needs.
Yeah, just make it easier for you guys. Now, yeah, looking at this, you could very easily just type this yourself, or or however you want to do that. But it just to have a place to start. So this is where we'd like to start. We have I have this first tab, favorites, and I'll show you briefly what this is going to look like. But this section, imagine you were trying to find, you knew your book's title, you had it ready to go, but maybe you got to the point where you were going to enter your book in, and you're like, oh, it needs Amazon is requiring keywords. I don't know what to put here. This is how we would find this. Now you can find this by just going on Amazon and looking at different books and coming up with these things yourself. Now you can do that, but we definitely recommend using a program called Publisher Rocket that we've shared before to find those. And that's what this looks like. Yep. Really, it's a way, Publisher Rocket again connects to Amazon, and it helps us find keywords that are directly related to the book that are also like people are actually looking for. That's the thing. Like we can think people are searching for certain things, and it's actually surprising. Sometimes when I type in words in here, Rob, I expect, okay, there's probably thousands of people looking for that. And then it returns an answer, it returns the keyword and says, actually, no, there's high competition, because of it's in potentially a genre, but that specific keyword that you have that you're trying to look for, like no one's actually typing that in. They're typing in other things to find that. So that's kind of what is very interesting. Yeah. So it has different sections here. We're really just going to use this keyword search for now. A little bit later, we're going to get into this AMS keyword search, and we'll show you how to use that. But if you're starting to find keywords for your book, to find prep keywords, this is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to put in meal prep and see what pops up. And just kind of show you guys what we would do here. So for all of these, this is what I do. So I look at this, anything that I think is closely related, I'm going to hit this analyze button. And I'm not going to stop and look at this. I'm just looking through here real quick, because what I'm going to do later is with my spreadsheet, I'm going to organize all this and whatnot, and then go through it. Right now, I'm just hitting this so that I can get this information to pop up here. And hopefully it loads. But I would go through here and just click a bunch. I'm just going to click just a couple just to see if it's going to give me this information here. Normally you click analyze and it'll pop up with all this information with what it's pulling. It's kind of a cool, I really like how Dave Chesson has this all set up from Kindlepreneur. He's the creator of Publisher Rocket. So it doesn't actually pull a lot of, or it doesn't take a lot of time for this information to load. He lets you go through and do these. Now, in some ways, I do think it would be cool to have an analyze all button, because I would probably just hit that and then search, then organize it later. But there's not that. So you can just go through and hit those certain things. Now, this isn't loading, Rob. I'm going to X out and try that again. Oh, there we go.
Hey, there we go.
Normally, it goes really quick. You click that, and then maybe half a second later, it'll pop up. But as we're waiting, really what you're doing is you're going through here and looking for those keywords. Now, you're going to have to find some, because if you're talking about like base seed keywords, you're going to have to put something in here. You're going to have to know like somewhat, but the more open-ended and I guess even one to two words that you can put here, the more the more searchers or the more keywords that are going to show up here for you. So if you just put in meal prep, you're going to get meal prep, bodybuilding, weight loss. Now that's a really cool keyword that shows up there because it's longer. You might not think to put that in there. Or meal prep cookbook. That's another potential keyword that you could put in. But if you had typed in, let's say you typed in meal prep for beginners, while that might be a good keyword, maybe you're not going to get meal prep cookbook to show up from that. So when you're putting your keywords in here, make sure they're just 1 to 2 words, kind of very, very short and descriptive of what you're looking for, and then build it from there. Okay, so normally I would go down through and do a bunch more of these, Rob, and I was going to pull up a couple more, but because this has taken so long, we're just going to do this real quick. Cool. And have it not be, I just want to show you what we're looking for and how we're organizing it. But yeah, you would go through here, you would do other keywords, and then all what we're doing at the end of this keyword after I've hit this analyze button is hitting this export button. And then yeah, we can just put it in our downloads file just for ease of access. All right, and then we can X out of this, and then now we have the template, we can open, and I actually just always hit import and then upload. I'm just uploading that export, and then I put it, whenever I do a new keyword, I put it in the insert new sheets. Hang on, I can't click on it because the screen sharing is in the way. There we go.
Hey.
All right, so this is what you're going to see. This directly matches this top line, directly matches this top line. And then because we want to organize it, if there were a lot, now we actually don't have to do this because there's not a lot, but if you wanted to kind of see where you were at with things, actually we are going to do that. Take back what I just said. We're going to view, and then we're going to freeze the top bar because I do want to organize it, because what you want to do is just look at the searches here, and you don't want to put any over to your favorite sheet that are that below the 100. So that one that little dash arrow, let me just undo that so you can see. This little basically less than 100, anytime you see this, you know that the keyword potentially isn't that great, that not that many people are searching for, because Publisher Rocket's not pulling up a result. So we're just going to organize it into that, and then we're just going to take all these and then put it over in our favorites tab. And for each keyword that I do here, I'm going to do that. And then after I've done all these keywords and have I would say maybe 10 to 12, I try to put in as many of those really big, good, base keywords as I can. And then I'm going to make a new tab for each of those and then transfer them all over to this favorite sheet. And then after that, we're going to hit this competitive score, and then we're just going to sort by that, because what you really want to find basically keywords that people are searching for. So this right here tells us people are searching for meal prep cookbook for weight loss. And then the competitive score here is 64. So hopefully after going through about 10 to 12 of our really good keywords, we can actually have a ready to go list here of potential ones that are maybe in the 30 or 40 range with high searches are going to be the keywords that we want to put in and use for Amazon. Right. And then also potentially use for our ads too. And actually it's going to be helpful because we'll be able to use most of these for our ads. So hopefully I know that was real quick. I'm trying to go through this quick because this is kind of a refresher. Right. Rob, did you have any questions that you had that popped up?
Yeah. So just to clarify, in terms of the searches per month, you want higher because that's indicating what the volume of searches are, the number of people out there searching for this, and then the composition score lower because that's saying, hey, there's an unmet need. Basically, there are a lot of people searching for this particular thing, but it's not very competitive. There aren't a whole lot of folks out on the market that are, hitting that search or that keyword. And cool, perfect. Yeah, so that's the general template here. When you're doing that, you're kind of categorizing them. It looks like in terms of their value, highest search volume, lowest competition. And then are we just going to export them in mass, kind of weight them at all, or how does that work for the next step?
So for the next step, basically this, as far as next step, if you're talking about ads, it's going to look a little different because we're just going to use these keywords here.
Right.
Now, if you were going to put them into Amazon, you would pick your 7 favorite here and then put those keywords into the books data.
Got it. Okay. And then when you are doing ads, well, I guess maybe that is the next step, and we can kind of go over what that looks like. Cool. Perfect.
And I do want to mention one more thing too with this. We do this with our clients, and I do this whenever I write my own book. It's a great first step in the process. So maybe even potentially while you're writing it, I've done this too with my books. While you're writing it, see what people are really looking for. What topics do I want to hit? If this meal prep cookbook for weight loss is a good keyword, now it is a little higher competitive, and 826 isn't the most searches. But if you had a good list here, you could kind of potentially see new keywords. Hey, I actually want to write a chapter about that because a lot of people are looking for that. It can really give you really useful information in the book creation process. And it can just be good information marketing wise too, when you're trying to find people that you want to sell your book to. It could potentially be really good in the book description. If you maybe want to put something in your title or subtitle, that can be really helpful. Getting good at this process, I mean, it's not necessarily easy, but if you have the mindset of, okay, this isn't just like I'm searching for a bunch of keywords, I'm actually searching, to best serve my audience. I think that mindset can be really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I'll just kind of reiterate it. You can definitely do this during those early stages. Obviously, if your book is already done and finished and polished and edited and all of that, then that's maybe not going to be as easy. And some of these keywords can maybe get incorporated if they're applicable into your description or into your marketing or advertising or whatever's going on. But really, really just a good point. Your goal here is to meet some need of your audience. And if you're thinking about that and saying, hey, it looks like people are interested in meal prep, for fat loss when bodybuilding. It's like, I have some thoughts on that. If my book is about meal prep in general, like you said, maybe that's going to be a chapter header or a sub-chapter header, or just something that you touch on because people are out there and they're interested in it, and that this will help them to find your project.
Yeah, I think it's potentially even useful information beyond that if you want to write blog posts about these topics. I think it's just that's why I like keywords so much, just because it gives you a really good place to start when otherwise, okay, I'm kind of interested in this topic, maybe I'm an expert in it, but what are people really looking for? So
right. Yep.
All right. And then the funny part about, I was just thinking, Rob, when we do these keyword search and we build this spreadsheet out so early in the process, and I do myself, that by the time I get to the marketing and I get to the ads, sometimes I forget that I have it. I forget that it's there. And that's why I'm mentioning the fact that we can use this to build out our AMS and our Amazon ads, because I've done it the hard way myself. And I've only realized after the fact, oh man, I had a ready to go list. Like, what was I doing? Like, I got to this point, I was trying to think in the moment of all the different keywords and feeling kind of overwhelmed by the process. So definitely, I'm sharing from not a failure, but
hard-won experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So another question: if you are doing this earlier in that stage, by the time you actually get to the point where you're setting up these ad campaigns, is there any concern that they will be less relevant? When the searches are being done more or less in real time, maybe in 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever it is when the book is complete, if you have this list out there, how important would it be to go back and refresh it and maybe kind of rebuild the list, see if there are obvious blind spots or something, or does it not matter as much because you're doing such a high volume?
Yeah, because the volume is higher, it doesn't matter as much. Any keywords that are potentially irrelevant, which aren't going to be too many, but yeah, there may be some. Any of those will just they'll fall by the wayside, and it won't be a waste of your time to still add those in there. So it would end up being more time to go back through and recheck everything.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Repurpose away.
All right, so we have those keywords, and this is our next step. This is the primary way I would recommend getting AMS or Amazon ad keywords. It just really is the, the best and fastest way. So you're going to take not even just the 7 that you pick. I would probably put in all of these and just use these, because potentially you could get keywords you could get Amazon ad keywords different for this than you would for this. Now, like I said before, the shorter keywords, this is going to pull more from Publisher Rocket than this one right here. But this one could potentially pull up more. So we're going to use both of those. So we're just going to start, basically, you're just going to start putting those in. And then this is what it's going to look like. And I'm not even going to look through these because it's just pulling up for you. And we can just scroll down just real quick. And this is the Publisher Rocket pulls it from Amazon A to Z suggestions, which is like search bar completions. And then they pull it. I think this search results is potentially, I don't know if this is on Amazon or Google. I know this used to actually add Google keywords too. I'm not sure if it differentiates that, or I know it switched recently in here and what the title of this section was. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's just basically, the whole point in it here is just get a bunch of keywords. So you're going to basically, as soon as you put that in, you're going to hit export, and then we'll just export that to the downloads again, so you can kind of see. And then we're just going to do the same thing with this. And we'll do these 3 just so we can see what it looks like, Rob.
Sure. And one question I guess that comes up is, it sounds like this is just a volume game. At this point, you've done the keywords, you've kind of rank ordered them, weighted them appropriately, and categorized them on that basis. But at this point, it's like, okay, well, now we just kind of want to throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Is that more or less the case?
Yes, it really is the case, because you're trying to find as many close match keywords to your book as possible. And then once you do go put it into Amazon, into the ads themselves, then you can start to tweak and see what really works. But the more you have in there, just to have some kind of potential, because you don't know, you could potentially find a really good keyword, a gold keyword that is a great converting keyword for your book. And maybe that's going to be a really high converting one for you, and then specifically for your book, and it's going to work really well. But you may not necessarily be able to get that if you don't have all of these keywords to be able to do that. So
you would not advise it? Would it be a good idea to just put a ton of effort and find like 10 really good keywords and then just like hit those ads hard? What would be the advantage or disadvantage of that?
Yes. So once you do start to have, I would recommend doing this process and then really just see when you go do your ads and see which keywords are performing well. And then, once those keywords perform well, if I have a really good keyword, I'll turn up the bid on that and try to get it to display more. Like we talked about in our last video, sometimes that's tough because Amazon kind of has their own system for that.
Right.
But if you have a really good converting keyword, definitely double down on that. Spend more time double checking that one, making sure the everything looks good. You're tweaking that as much as possible, for sure.
Right. So, but it is something that it sounds like that information is best left for the market to determine. You're not just going in and saying, these are my 10 favorites, and this is what I really like, and I'm putting my money behind it. Just casting a wider net before you're narrowing it down.
Yeah, that wouldn't, the way that it's set up, it just wouldn't work. If you went in with only 10 keywords, that's really just not going to work for you, because maybe they're going to display, maybe not. And you could get really lucky and have one of those keywords work. But if you're thinking about, are those 10 keywords going to be these longer tail keywords like this one that maybe other people aren't putting in? Probably not. There may be going to be more just basic ones like meal prep.
Right.
Now that may work really well for your book and may really fit, but if a lot of other people are bidding on that, then the cost per click and the cost per view is going to be a lot higher. So it may not work out for you. And there potentially are other people with a keyword like this that they're going to be potentially not even just books. You could be competing with other meal prep programs, other things that Amazon is selling. Other products you could potentially be trying to compete with.
It might be kitchen goods or.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. All right. So basically, once you export all of those, you would just put them into one giant spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And there are different ways of removing duplicates. There are some Google ad extensions. Now, I haven't found too many good ones. It's not even necessarily necessary to do that. If you have thousands, then it can be helpful to get that number down. But when you put your keywords into Amazon, Amazon will help you by, removing some of those duplicates as well. So it's one of those things, if you don't want to go through and manually like remove those by like doing like search and find and those things, but if you can find a good plugin or something that can help you with that, that's definitely helpful. I don't have a great answer for that part of the process.
Got it.
That is, kind of it's just a pain that you have to deal with when you're using the keywords in this way. But it can be worth it just to have a ton in the end. So yeah, you're going to put those into one spreadsheet, and then you're going to go over to Amazon ads and plug those in like we showed you last week. So last week we kind of, Rob and I did the screen share of what it looks like to build the ads and how you want to do them. We just kind of said, hey, you're assuming that you already have your keywords. So if you don't have keywords and you're watching this one and you want to know how to put those in, go back and watch last week's.
Right. And so is it is an Excel file or a Sheets file that you can upload and send over, or do you have to manually, copy and paste each of those 1,000, plus keywords? How does that work?
Yeah, if you can get them in a list like this and just have them one by one here, basically you can just go here and then scroll down to 1,000 and do this. This is what I would do. And then just copy those over. Now, if you copy that, it'll paste it as one line for each, and Amazon will accept that.
Oh, cool.
So you basically build a list as big as you can get it, and then put those by, one campaign per 1,000, and then do it that way.
Cool. Got it.
Cool. If we're good on Publisher Rocket, I know again that was real quick, but we wanted to show you one. If you don't happen to have Publisher Rocket, you can use the Google keyword planner to find a bunch of keywords too.
Great. Yeah, perfect. Let's jump onto that, because I know some people, may not have Publisher Rocket right now, or they may be just interested in in trying another free option and something that is, a complement, even if you do have Publisher Rocket.
Yeah. So Google, potentially, if you were like, hey, Jordan, I want to find like 100,000 keywords. Well, yeah, it might take you a while to do it in general, but if you had multiple different ways of doing it, you could definitely be able to do that. Now, Google is not Amazon, so if you're thinking finding keywords related more to books and authors, Publisher Rocket will pull up that author too if there's an author for that. So when you actually export that, you're going to have this author in here too, Rob. I don't know if we mentioned that earlier, but that's another really cool way. So you're actually using this author name as a keyword that you're putting up sponsored ads for. So yeah, you get to bid on this person's name. Right.
If you like the last project from this author, then you're going to love this new one.
Well, yeah, which is, something like that, Google ads or the Google keyword planner is not going to do that for you. Right. All right. So this right here, we have Google ads. You may have to, I think you have to sign in and create an account. I don't know if it's separate from Google or not. I already have an account here, but I know that you've been able to use this in the past for free. You don't actually have to create, and you don't actually have to start a campaign. There may be the difference. It may have you actually create one, but as far as I know, you don't have to be. It wouldn't. I could potentially have built this campaign and then paused everything and then been able to use this. They have changed around how you have access to the system, so that's a potential. But as far as I know, it's free to use.
Got it.
So once you're at Google, you can go to ads.google.com, then sign in, and you go to Tools and Settings, and then you just go to the Keyword Planner here. Just go to New Keywords, and it's going to be pretty much the same process as before. You'll just type in the meal prep, get results. And let's see where the export button is. I see, yeah, it added 1379 keyword ideas available. So that's really cool. It added a bunch for you just from that one. All right, yeah, you can select all, and then I believe you can go here and, or there's a button on here, Rob, that I used to know, but I moved. I know you can, yeah, you can go through here and export all of these. Yeah, download that. Here we go. Download keyword ideas. So once you have everything, I don't even know if I have to have these selected to be able to download, but it's going to put that as a very similar export spreadsheet. And then, yeah, it'll order that. And then, yeah, you can just plug those into Amazon as well. There's no reason why you couldn't plug these in here. I like this as an idea, as an additional thing to do, especially if you're trying to find a bunch of keywords, is because, you know, you think about, if people, this may not be something people are doing. There may be a Google keyword that no one else is potentially competing for on Amazon, but maybe people are searching for that. Maybe there is a great keyword on Amazon that has nobody running ads to it. That would be potentially finding gold as far as advertising goes.
Right.
And you never know. I'm sure there are people that are, you know, finding a ton of keywords and using Publisher Rocket, using their own keywords, using other programs out there, using Google to find all the keywords they can possibly find. But who knows? You may be able to compete. We always say, the more you can do stuff like this and set yourself apart, the better potential success you can have.
Yep.
So
every little edge that you can give yourself is going to help.
Yep. So that was just another quick way. That's a free way. You can just pop in there, put all your keywords in. I would recommend, look, I could put them in here. I think you can put up to 10 in here, Rob. I would just do them one at a time, especially if it's going to return 1,300. Now you can try if it can handle it. It's just, I don't know if the system can handle 10,000 keywords and then downloading, and sometimes there can be difficulties with that. So just experiment with that if you're doing that process. But one at a time is fine too. And then then it allows you to separate them if you wanted to put them in a template like this. You could create a similar one, Google keywords for my Amazon book or something like that, and then create a similar thing at the bottom here to kind of organize everything. Okay. And then who knows? Yeah, you could find some really good related keywords that way too.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little distracted here. Dale's commenting. Dale, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're good.
On Facebook, just cracking jokes a little bit. So, and I apologize if you just answered this, but there's not going to be a similar weighted system, right? With in the same way that Publisher Rocket offers. So we're not necessarily going to be able to say, there are this many searches and this much competition, through Google Ads, or is there something that would work similarly?
Yeah, so you used to be able to use Google Keyword Planner, and they would show you the Google searches here too. That used to be really helpful. Now they don't do that anymore. You can't see those.
Yep. As
far as I know, and for a while they actually changed it so they only showed a range. They showed like 1 to 1,000 searches per month. That was for a little while, and now it doesn't look like they show anything anymore. So yeah, as far as seeing different weights, you're not gonna be able to do that in this system.
Right. So just kind of pull up whatever comes up, and then again, when we're dealing with that kind of volume, it doesn't necessarily. You don't have to sort it as aggressively.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. I think for some people they can say, okay, wow, like it just feels like you're pulling all the keywords you can get. But yeah, like we said, that's fine when we're just gonna plug them into Amazon and then see how they do, and then tweak it from there and up our bids and kind of go with what works. It's a great way of figuring out. You don't know necessarily what's gonna work in the market. It's a much better option than coming with just a few.
Yeah, that's a great point and worth mentioning again. This is the first stage, but then the next stage is going to be actually paying attention to those ads and then adjusting and capitalizing on the ones that are working. So
absolutely,
not related to Amazon ads, but when I started off with this publishing company, the author I started with, he had a book in a very little known category called diet therapy. And it was appropriate. The book, it was called Eat for Heat. And it fit that category, but we certainly had never heard of it. It just so happened that a book that was in sort of the same sphere, similar genre as our title was also cross-listed in that title or in that category. And so you put it over there and basically we put our eggs in that basket, and it ranked pretty consistently for months and months in, at the top of the category. So, we wouldn't necessarily have known to look for diet therapy. If it turns out that meal prep, bodybuilding, fat loss is the perfect keyword for you, you don't necessarily know that going in, and you wouldn't even necessarily think to find it, but you may end up learning that as time goes on, and again, as you're paying attention to these campaigns, and that's why it requires some degree of monitoring and paying attention and that kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. And how frequently would you recommend keeping an eye on this? You know, I know that there are some folks out there who can become maybe a little inclined to look at it every day, every few minutes. Probably that's a little too much, I would imagine. But you also don't necessarily want to sit and check on it once a year. You know, what's a good reasonable frequency as you're starting out? You know, daily, weekly. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, when you're building your ad campaigns, the more you can get keywords wise as your base, the easier it's going to be for you later on, because you're not going to have to spend as much time adding. You can just spend more time tweaking. But when you're first doing it, especially if you're doing it during a launch, I would definitely check the campaigns at least once a day for those first 2 weeks. Now, after 2 weeks or so, I would say you can wait 2 to 3 days. I would say after that, you know, it really just depends on how they're doing and what it looks like. You know, you don't want to go, you know, more than definitely you don't want to go more than a month. I think once a month would be the absolute minimum. You can, now we talked last week about being able to set parameters as far as what Amazon's going to spend. You can set $200 to $300 a month. So something like that's really good. And I definitely recommend setting up those portfolios and doing that, because what if you happen to forget? Now, maybe if you're a first-time author, you're not going to forget about your first book, but yeah, you potentially have a lot going on. And if you set it up real quick one night, maybe you just forget that you even set it up, and then all of a sudden Amazon's spending a bunch of money. Yeah, so definitely set those barriers and those limits. But you know, once you get things going, check things at least once a month. I would say at least, you know, if you're going to really try to be working those and tweaking those, at least once a week after that point to be, and because you could be tweaking them in all sorts of different ways. You can be adding new keywords, like we talked about. You know, if there are going to be potential updates that you're going to want to put keywords wise, I mean, there's going to be new authors that come out that you can target, and Publisher Rocket will help you with that. So, and you definitely want to reset your campaigns every once in a while too. You don't want to just let an old campaign sit there. Sometimes restarting things can be good. But yeah.
Cool. All right. So when you're starting out, roughly daily to really pay attention. You know, as time goes on after that first week or so, at least weekly, certainly no less often than monthly, and refresh. Would you say, you know, every couple of months, every 3 months, you know, seasonally, something like that, just to kind of reboot it and see where things are at, and, you know, just kind of do a new round of search?
Yeah, I would say rebooting probably every 6 months. You wouldn't need to do that every 3. I think certainly every quarter you could really take a deep dive and make sure there's no keywords that you're spending money on that aren't doing any good for you. And also, check to see if you can up the bids on the keywords that are working really well, because at that point, you know, if you're 3 to 6 months in, you're going to have a lot of data to work with. And that reminds me, I think it's worth mentioning again too, Rob, is to use your ads as data for your book. We mentioned it last week. It's probably, I think, the most important thing we can share. Use that information. You know, if you're getting 300 clicks to your book's page and only a handful of sales, just ask yourself, maybe you wonder why that is. You know, there's a potential that your keywords are completely wrong, but I don't think that's as likely as, you know, because they're clicking onto your book's page. There's at least some interest there. People aren't just clicking willy-nilly for the most part on ads. They're going there for a reason. And maybe your book description is really the thing to look at. What is in there? You know, check your sales copy, ask other people's feedback and advice on that, especially if it's not working, and see what you can do to tweak that. Use that data to determine those kind of changes, and then just see how it goes. Yeah.
No, great input. And then just to summarize from last week, I know go back and check out that video as well. But what's is there a single metric or a couple of important things to look for to determine that profitability on, and whether these ads are worth their worth their weight?
Yep. So you can have a general idea by looking at the sales and spend, but you're going to get an even. If you want just the 2 metrics that are most important are just clicks and orders, I think, because you're able to see how many people went to the page, and then you're able to see how many people ordered from there. And just as a note, those are orders. So someone could go to your page and buy 10 copies of your book to send with their book group or something like that. That's going to count as one order. So you could potentially see, you know, your sales of $100 or so and one order, and then maybe, ooh, what's this? Is this just this reporting wrong? No, it's because Amazon's counting that as one order.
Yeah, because it's a single ordering event that took place as a result of that. Cool. Okay.
But that can be really helpful to know, because it's, if you have potentially if you had one click and 10 orders, that could potentially screw up your data there. So that basically your orders are customers. So if you have 10 orders out of 100, 10 customers,
got it.
10 different people went to your books page, and that can be some really good information to have.
Yeah. Awesome. And you presume that every customer is responsible if they're placing an order for at least one, but some might be higher value customers.
Yep.
And that's cool. Good deal. So we've covered the Google ads and the Amazon Publisher Rocket ads. Is there anything else that you wanted to say in summary? I know we talked about maybe trying to wrap it up a little bit sooner. Any big picture thoughts or information that we should get out before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think big picture thoughts. Whenever you're watching this, just let us know if you have questions. Rob and I do really just want to know where we can take a deep dive. I think we've done a deep dive in Publisher Rocket before, but I think there's still things that we could do more of, Rob. I try to go through these and not talk too much. I try to just talk through my process.
Right.
But there's things that I'm noticing. I could talk about that. We could talk about that. So if we did go too fast, or if there was things that we skipped, just to let us know. We'd be happy to cover that in a future video, and just take deep dives into different sections. We're happy to do that. So yeah, just let us know.
Cool. Yeah, great point. My goal in this 2-part, video series that we did this last couple of weeks is really somebody who doesn't know anything about Amazon ads, except that it might be useful. How the heck do I get started? What do I need to do? And what am I looking out for? And that's what we've tried to do here. So let us know if that was effective, if that was helpful for you. Maybe you're already seasoned and, this was just to beginner level. If you want more information, we'd be happy to know that. Or if you're just starting out and you said, guys, it's supposed to be, high level, but I didn't follow anything at all. Can we, go through the steps a little bit more slowly? We're happy to hear that information or that feedback as well. And, we want to tailor it so that it is constructive, and then it's a resource so that you can go, even when we're not live, and have these videos on standby. It's like, all right, what was I looking for again? Oh yeah, I'm looking for clicks and orders. And, there's a little demonstration of what that looks like. And, just provide some sort of basis to start from. So that's kind of what we were hoping to do, and we'd love to hear from you. If we're able to do that effectively or not, we'd be happy to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Everybody out there, thank you, Dale, for commenting and making me laugh a little bit, being silly. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I will keep an eye out on comments and questions coming forward or coming up for next week. And we'd love to hear from you. So we'll look forward to being in touch and seeing you folks next time around.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good night.